Welcome to.
We have a captive audience tonight.
I'm only here for 15 minutes and then I'm that way.
Red Jack on the Black Queen.
Okay. Welcome to the February 5th, 2025 Conservation Commission meeting. As a reminder, open session public meetings are subject to being recorded. Your image and voice will be recorded forever. All right, minutes from the previous meeting. I feel like we haven't met in forever. I think there was an extra week.
There was.
Yeah.
Yep, so
Yeah, it was like
January 15th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because I know I wasn't here that week.
Yep. Anybody want to make a motion about the minutes?
Yeah, I read them. I thought they were pretty good. I moved that we accept the minutes as written.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Treasurer's report?
Yeah, so report is pretty much the same as it has been. So wetlands account is at $14,531.57. Open space, we have $28,302.78. And then the annual budget is $1,519.
1,519.
Oh, we have a lot
Yep.
left.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Do we plan to spend it?
The spring usually, we usually wind up doing stuff for the garden and
Yeah.
Birthday.
Earth Day, yes. So we usually find a way.
Yeah.
We might need a little hardware for
Oh, and it
birdhouses,
looks like
too.
Walter has some receipts.
Well,
Oh, I got one in the truck.
this might be the time to bring it up.
Okay.
I ran across this today in my file here. $98 to reimburse Judy Clark for flowers she bought at Cavicchio's for the corner garden. And I was shocked, so of course I called her right up. She couldn't remember. We did pay her something like $500.
I do
That
remember
sounds familiar.
something. Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, you know, of course, I'm pretty embarrassed about the whole thing. She said, don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. But would it be easy for the treasurer or the whoever, you know, to determine if this was paid or not? If it isn't, we'll
Well,
just
so you
forget
keep
it.
track of.
Yeah, so it depends. So I think what we did was we reimbursed you, right? Because you had paid her.
Oh, God.
And then
Right.
you had wrote in.
I think that's, and
That sounds
looking at the
familiar.
date on that, it was last fiscal year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was pretty emphatic about me not losing sleep over it, but I mean, this is, you know, I've got this
I know.
first copy, and I feel
I
pretty bad
think
about
Maddie's
it.
right, though.
Right.
That
I
sounds
think
familiar.
you paid her
Yeah.
and we
We
paid
paid
you.
And it
Yeah.
included some mulch, I
Okay.
think, too.
Oh, you think
Yeah.
that's the way it was?
I do.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell her that.
Okay.
I mean, I saw this, and thought, oh my God, I gotta call her back and then tell her not to expect $100.
Come on,
Yeah.
Come on, right, grab it.
How about
Okay.
If we get a short
Good.
break?
All right. Awesome. Bills and forms.
So I do have a couple receipts for mailings.
Okay.
How can you remember that? I can't remember.
Yep, so I have the mailing for the order of conditions for 63 Marlborough Road, which involved mailing it to Goddard, the owner at 63 Marlborough Road, and the applicant, which was Big Daddy Realty up in New Hampshire. So that's $29.88 for that. And then I also have the mailing of the violation notice to the residents in Clinton.
Okay.
Candidates Road as well. and
Did
that's-
you ask for a return receipt on that?
Yes.
And did you get one?
No.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's a matter of time before
Big
that just ends
surprise
up in
there.
our mailbox.
Right?
And they don't collect it. But
Yeah.
I did send one that was just regular mail too, so that it would just go in their mailbox.
Nice. Good plan.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 2988 and 968. 3956. Someone want to make a motion to reimburse Maddie 3956 for
So
mailing?
moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So when you fill out the paperwork, we'll all sign it.
And then,
I've got one, it's in my truck, I forgot to bring it in, but it's about $15 or something for the 40 caves thing to DEP.
Okay. All right.
If we get a little break, go get it and
Okay.
address it then.
Okay.
Okay.
and then, so the other update I have was for, remember the legal ad fee that we had, last meeting?
Yep.
Where it seemed odd, cause it was like negative $153. So that is actually a credit on our account. I don't know how that's a credit, but they're like, apparently there was a payment back in 2023 that was too much, so they said you basically use that credit to pay any of your legal ad costs. And I was like, okay, that works for me.
No, this is with the item.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say, cause I feel like we had a bunch of different KP Law bills.
Right.
It was a hot mess,
Oh,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
yes. Yeah, some of those that we questioned turned out to not be stuff we owe also. Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. Anything else for bills and forms?
Nope, that's pretty much it.
All right. Mail and notices.
So email, so the MACC is holding their spring conference, March 1st. So if you guys wanna sign up for that, we can reimburse you for the cost to take, or to join, the spring conference.
Yep.
There's also, they're doing a bunch of their, courses right now too, as part of their March Madness, or, yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but.
Right. Yeah, to become certified.
Right.
Yeah. And are those all online, or are those going to be at the conference?
So they'll have a couple sessions at the conference itself, but a lot of them are online.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else?
I think it really.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a couple of things. Oh, there was one email. Actually, I'm gonna wait because I asked if I could share it, but I did not hear back yet. So, I'm not gonna share it yet.
Can I just ask quickly, what would you say are the most, if there's a priority of 1, 2, or 3 for the certifications, what would you say are the most important, or is there an order?
So for the certifications, there's a core of, I think it's 8, right?
Yeah.
That you have to take. You don't have to take them in order.
Okay.
And then you have to take 3 electives
I believe so.
out of these other courses that they, so, I mean, anything is beneficial.
Sure.
And the 8 are good. None of the classes are super in-depth, but they definitely give you good, just kind of different ways of looking at things, like how to critically read a plan kind of thing. And, like if you're looking at a plan, these are the kinds of things you might look at if you're doing this. But from a wetlands perspective, this is what you should be looking for. That kind of stuff. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, you're welcome. It's been so long now for me that I don't really remember what the electives even are. And I'm sure they've changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have like open space ones, so you can learn about that, or.
Right,
But yeah, the other ones are like how to write an effective order of conditions, or
right.
running an effective meeting.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, like one of them's, I think, titled How to Get Home Before Midnight.
Right.
So that is not a problem we have. And every time I saw that title, I was like, oh, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
I would quit after one
Yeah,
meeting.
Right,
exactly.
right?
I don't think anybody
I
would
get
be
up
here.
at 4,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so I did see some chatter going back and forth between Laura Matai and the woman at EEA
Yep.
about the CR that I think it's the Highland Common
Yep,
CR.
Highland Ridge, yep.
I mean Highland Ridge.
Right.
So like someone at the state is looking at this.
Right.
So it very encouraging and
Yep.
like back and forth.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like instant responses, like.
Yeah. So
And they were pretty like kind of simple questions, just like general, like, hey, what do you mean by this kind of thing?
right.
So.
Yep.
So hopefully.
Yep. And
Getting
Laura's
close, huh?
Yep.
Laura's just on that, so that's like amazing.
Mhm.
I think that's it.
I think Horseshoe
Couple
Pond
scheduling.
has been submitted, I think, to the state now.
Oh, has it?
I think, or maybe, I guess probably SVT's law team might be reviewing it.
Okay, right, because Meredith asked, so there was a little bit of a holdup. SVT had added in a paragraph or a section that, according to town council, is kind of becoming standard, saying that SVT reserves the right to take care of any enforcement and then send us the bill. And I said, there's nothing in here that is a discussion
Yeah.
about what enforcement measures might be taken, how much those might cost.
Yeah, like a not
and-
to exceed amount
yeah,
before discussion, yeah.
Yeah, or any, so, some time happened, the holidays happened, and then I met with Kristen and town council, and I'm like, I just want something in there to protect the town so that we don't all of a sudden get a bill for $40,000, you know? So we came up with some language, put that in there, sent it off to SVT. I think Meredith's response was, is this the only thing that has changed in this? We said yes, and so hopefully that will now, and now that we've got that smoothed out, when we do the Powder House Hill one, we can just use the language that we both already agree on for that. And so if this is going to be something they're going to put in standard for now, our edit is going to be standard.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a holdup with that, about that, but that seems to be moving forward now too.
Yep.
All right, yeah. All right. Maplewood, nothing really going on, right?
No, I went up last week and, Tamara wasn't there, so I didn't walk around,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
But, nothing's been going on.
Right, everything's frozen.
Right.
I think there has been one email
Yeah,
about some delivery of some dirt.
Yep.
From like
Oh, what was
Canterbury, from Canterbury, Connecticut. Yeah.
One truckload or what?
One purchase of soil.
Oh.
I don't think those specify
No.
how much. Just that the soil was tested and
Yeah.
passed and where it came
Okay.
from, so. Highland Ridge, nothing. We don't even have a,
Yeah, so,
You just
Oh,
gotta
we
go-
do.
Inspection.
You just gotta monitor.
yep. 2 reports.
Nothing
Basically,
changed.
everything is stable.
okay.
Yep.
Do we need to keep who's paying Pat?
Vinicasa. And we
Good.
have sent them an email saying that we would be open to modifying
Okay.
the order of conditions to not require the monitoring so
Right.
frequently, and
Yeah, it
we have
doesn't
gotten
seem
no
necessary.
response.
Right.
Yeah. So, we tried.
Right. Okay, good.
Allen Road, we're waiting till spring. River Road West, we're waiting till spring. 92 Allen Road, have you?
Yep, so I did get a, reach out to, is it David?
David E. Ross.
Yep.
Yep.
So I reached out to their firm, and they were like, yeah, we hadn't heard anything, from that, sorry. And then a couple days later, they're like, oh, actually, he did come in right in December and give us the paperwork. It just kind of got misplaced.
Okay,
And
good.
then-
Glad we reached out.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we've been playing phone tag. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. But I did send him an email back saying, this is essentially what we want. Like, we want the wetlands delineated. We want you to determine the impact that was done on the wetlands. Kind of,
Perfect.
yeah, kind of spelled it out
Right.
since I can't get a hold of him on the phone.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yep.
And, oh, Peg Stone, we're 3 minutes late. Come on up.
Good.
So Allen Road, all set up.
Yeah.
Hello, Madam Chair,
Hello, Madam Chair or Select Board Member.
whatever, Peg,
Could she
Right.
introduce herself?
no,
Madam Peg?
Madam Peg.
make sure you curtsy.
It's gonna be hard, I'm not wearing a skirt.
Oh, no, well, alright, so the reason for my visit, as you know, we went through, had an assessment done on the buildings in town, and we always hear, we need storage, but when we ask, no one ever says who, and no one ever says what they need storage for. So, I am on the storage tour, as I call it, and I'm going to every board and committee who has responded to my request, and I've asked them what they need storage for. So if I ask you if you need additional storage beyond what you have and your answer is no, our meeting is done. If you say yes, then I have a series of other questions to ask you. It's not a guarantee that we'll store stuff, but it's to get an idea of if we have this much of a need for storage or this much need of a storage, so.
May I ask a question first before answering your question?
Because it's you, yes. Mm-hmm.
So we used to have the closet in that end room,
Mm-hmm.
and there were items in that closet.
Where are they?
Where are
I
they?
have no idea.
Do we know who cleaned that out?
No?
Because we didn't even know we lost it until after we lost it.
Okay,
So we were not given the opportunity to get our stuff out.
okay. I
I
will,
think some of
Yeah,
it's
we
in
do
that
need
black
a
cabinet,
closet.
but.
Right, and that's what
Right.
we need about that size space.
No, no, no.
Ooh, whoa,
Plus,
plus, oh, hold on.
well, wait a minute, I got some big things to do here.
Yeah, oh, wait a minute.
at my house, I'm storing a whole bunch of stuff for Earth Day,
Oh, that's
roadside
true.
cleanup,
Bird banding.
and bird banding, and those are 10-foot pipes. 20 of them,
Yep.
and the
Yeah.
rebar, and
Yeah. And you, sir?
Trail work.
Right.
I'd like to get some tools together and not have to store them in my complete lack of storage space.
So can we get like a new DPW barn kind of thing for us?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we could use some
we
space.
don't need one quite as big.
Half the size?
Half
Right.
the size.
We want to shed an acre wood, so it can be nice and warm for.
One more?
Anyway,
Look,
Oh.
I have to sit out there and freeze. You're sitting out there with me and
Okay.
freezing. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Alright.
is
we
it
could get you
reasonable
a drum and you can make a little fire.
There we go. Okay.
Make sure you get a permit though. for
Yeah,
fire.
I was just gonna say, I don't even
Set
know.
the other side of Pisgah on fire.
Yeah.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So AJ, I'm sorry, so you said, items for bird banding, items for,
Earth Day cleanup. Yeah, and we don't have any place to keep any tools.
so
Which-
tools, bags.
You know what I have coveted for almost since I got here is a weed wrench, because I'm getting too old to be pulling buckthorn out by its roots.
Right, so,
It's like a
tools for
$90
pulling
item.
invasives as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
That can fit under trail
Yeah.
tools, trail work tools.
okay.
Those would be handy for pulling small
Um,
saplings
yeah.
and stuff out of the way.
So they're
So-
truly being stored at personal residences,
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
And-
Yep, and I definitely have some files that you actually could, we probably have space here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Paper
wouldn't
file.
store those in the shed.
Yeah. No,
Got
but
plenty
we,
of file space here.
right, well, we used to have plans.
Well, I was
We
gonna
used to
say,
have-
with
Right.
everything, like with a lot of stuff being like digital now, is there any plan to get like Dropbox or any sort of like digital
Open
Digital
file?
storage.
So we can
Okay.
get away from, because I'm like looking around this room, these look like plans from like 30 years ago, so
Correct.
there's probably a lot of stuff in here that doesn't need to be here or can
Right.
be digitized.
Right. Right, get rid of it.
Do any of your items require insurance?
No.
Are you sure?
Maybe the weed whacker? No, that was a joke.
All right,
Yeah, no, I don't think.
The problem is, a lot of the things we have are that I'm storing, well, we got some consumables for the roadside cleanup.
correct.
And the pipes and things, the cost of insurance would exceed the value of the pipes. I
Right.
can't even imagine
Well,
that.
I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as we have found out, there have been people who bring in stuff and don't tell us.
Oh.
And so if there was ever an incident and that item was destroyed, it's kind of a so sad, too bad. You know, you didn't tell us.
So
That
that
you
you can
had it.
make sure it was properly
that it's,
insured.
Right, that
Yeah,
it's covered, whether it's in a town building or whether it's at a private residence.
yeah.
Right.
So that
I mean,
type of
there's
stuff.
Right.
possibility that I'd be getting, I mean, the biggest piece of equipment I can think of that I'd wanna get anytime soon might be a chainsaw. You gotta clear down trees on trails, it's the only way to do it, so.
Okay.
yeah.
And if I did get one, I would let you know, we'd probably wanna insure that, cause that
Yep.
could be worth, $500 or maybe a bit more.
Okay.
Can I, just,
Mhm.
I don't know whether wait until the end to say now, but I gotta, my first impulse listening to this, I have tools at my house I'll use, I don't need the town to store them, I have my own chainsaws, my own tools, my pickup truck, I have files and stuff, but, I mean, pipes and birdhouses, you don't need town to store that stuff, store it at home.
Not everybody
Store
has
the
space
stuff, we
for
don't,
it.
the town should
Fine.
not be buying a chainsaw.
So far, it's
We
fine
don't
with me.
need it. The town department head, the highway department has that stuff.
Yeah, but I
You
don't
can
think they're gonna let us
borrow it.
use it.
Huh?
I don't, from a liability perspective, I can't imagine they would
Oh,
let us
for
use it.
heaven's sake, a liability.
It's a thing these days, believe it or not.
You don't, but this department should not be owning a chainsaw. We should not be owning a lot of tools. You wanna work in a town, go in your shed, grab your tool. What is Berlin turning into it? That's all, I
That
mean,
is
I'm
not
just sitting
for
here
this-
listening to this.
Right, that
Good
question
grief.
is not for,
Well,
This
it is,
conversation.
because that's what we're doing, we're running the town, and
Well,
where are
we
we
haven't,
running
we
it?
haven't bought anything. All we're asking for is
No, but we're
storage.
we don't need storage if we don't have anything.
Okay, but we
It's
do
just
have
the
stuff that
direction
needs
we're going
storage,
in.
so,
All right.
Grief.
Any idea, wild guess of approximate square footage?
2.
And I'm not gonna
Like-
hold,
You've got
like-
poles that are 10 feet long.
and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna hold you to it again, this is just an idea.
right, right, so like 10 by 10,
That's what I was thinking, 10
Yeah.
by 10.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be
probably more than
more
adequate,
more
but,
than we need for now.
but as we know,
Mhm.
always ask for a little bit more than you want.
oh, of course. Mhm. All right, because as you said, AJ, some of these items are gonna go away, if you've got bags that you're using for Earth Day,
Right,
you have bags for Earth Day, you have bags after Earth Day, so.
Right.
Yeah.
it's
And
gonna
we have
move.
signs and banners and,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. All right,
And we've got about 45-gallon buckets, but Stan stores those for us out at the transfer station.
okay. All right, and again, it's gonna be one of those things that changes. Who would need access to this potential storage area? Because we have to ensure that it's not open for the public just to wander in.
I would say
And-
commission members,
Okay. All right, that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
We should move this. Okay. All right. That's all I have.
all right,
Cool. So I'm gonna present this. Unfortunately, there's been a number of boards that have not responded. So I'm like, you know what? If you don't respond, then silence means you get squat.
Right.
So I will present this back to the board and then we'll just see,
Okay.
cause I don't even
And-
know where this magical storage area could be.
sure.
Do you spend the money to fix some of the buildings? Do you take the buildings down and buy a storage pod? I don't know.
Right.
But, okay.
Right.
All
Well,
right.
in the meantime, they
Yes.
are safely stored in people's various garages and such.
Okay.
And if you could also ask the question of where our items went that we did have.
Yep.
Now, do you
Most
think they might be in
specific-
here?
Yeah, I think good number of stuff is in there. The black cabinet.
What are you looking for?
Well, like the physical copy of the open space plan
Well, maybe not.
and the DVD of the open space plan
Oh.
that we spent a lot of money for.
So
But I
is the
don't.
open space plan a document or?
It is. It's just like it's part of the master plan,
Okay,
and it's the open space rec portion.
alright,
It was completed, I believe, in 2021, so it was when the building was pretty empty.
okay.
Margaret sent me the digital copy, so I think we have it uploaded to our website.
I believe.
But we also had a disc,
Yep.
and we also had physical copies that CMRPC printed for us,
Okay,
and I have no idea where they are.
okay. I've started an email, I will finish it and I will send it out to Fred because I'm gonna assume it was Ken, just cause he's facilities guy. But where he stuck them? He might have put them down in another room downstairs. I
Right.
don't know.
Yep.
But I will find out for you.
That would be great,
Okay.
because I would love to have that stuff back. Yeah, we had like a box of letterhead, we had a box of envelopes,
Yeah.
we had,
We had a bunch of little signs.
we had some signs, right, to put up for trails. We had clipboards for certifying vernal pools.
Okay.
You may also wanna see, instead of like spending money on space, if you can get someone to digitize all these documents and just force people to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Cause there's like 1989 cable license documents over there that probably, assuming that's what's in that box,
Correct.
Yeah,
you know,
And then-
why are we spending money to
Right.
store this stuff?
And there's been a few committees that I've talked to that said they're required to keep like 5 to 7 years of.
Right.
So obviously, when 7 year goes away and it becomes 8,
Get rid of it.
Right, well, 89, I'm not super good with math,
That's
but,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna guess, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, before you were born, wasn't it?
Isn't he sweet?
He is super
That's why we
sweet.
keep them around.
All right, thank you for that. I will find out on that. I'll copy you on the email
That'd be great.
and find out where that stuff is and see if we can get it. It had to go somewhere. I doubt it got.
Toss.
Yeah,
I
nothing
would-
seems like it gets tossed around here, so.
Yes, so I'll find out
Yeah.
that for you.
Awesome, that would
Coolio.
be fabulous.
I'll keep you posted
All right.
on that other stuff.
Thank you. Do you want a cookie?
No, the older that I get, chocolate gives me heartburn. It
Oh.
totally sucks. So I
Yeah.
have to like pregame with Tums before I eat chocolate. I hate it. Here, I'll
Yeah.
leave the seat open for you. There you go. All right, thank you.
Bye,
Thanks,
thanks Peg.
Pre-gaming.
All right,
That's when you know life is good.
yeah, right?
Mhm.
Come on up.
Oh, don't get too crazy there, Peg.
Yeah.
I did bring a poster board with an easel. I don't. Do you want me to set it up here? or
No,
I
you
get
can
this
plop it
plop
right
in?
there.
Oh, yeah, we just need you to sign. Oh, do you need Peg to sign in?
Yeah.
I'll write her name on there afterwards.
Yeah.
Sign here.
Yeah, please.
Yep, and then if you would just introduce yourself and let everybody know why you're here.
So my name is Robert Melvin. I work with Stamsky McNary. I will be representing the applicant for 199 and 203 Crosby Road. We're requesting an amendment to the order of conditions, and that is to change the plan of record to this plan that's in front of you today. Now, last time this was in front of you, we proposed pretty much almost exactly what you're looking at here. The only thing that's really changing is the driveway. The shape is a bit different. We've also added these parking areas here, as well as here. And previously, I believe this area had been, well, actually the entire driveway was a gravel drive. This portion was originally intended to be left as gravel, but is now proposed to be paved for additional parking spaces. And then we've tightened up the driveway. It's now right up against that retaining wall here. Grading is pretty much the same, and there are no other changes to the plan. So gladly take any questions anyone has. And is this the address that I'm representing today to put here, or?
Does it matter? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how big is this area that's in the 100-foot?
That I'm not exactly sure.
It looks like 54.
Yeah, I could pull out a ruler and get an approximation, but
Well, if this is 27, then this is like twice that.
You get the scale in the lower right corner. So that's
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah. I use my super. It's about 50 feet, so about 100. Well, 54 by 50.
Where's the brook?
The brook is here.
There's like a little
Is-
pond in the brook there?
Right.
I
The-
took a John Deere bulldozer that I had one time, got down the brook there and dug that pond in the middle of the brook and dug it all out.
So you're not actually
That was
looking
about-
for it on the plan.
That was about 19, oh God.
11.
Before you know it,
Touche, touche. They didn't have John Deere bulldozers, so they can't put the weight.
That was his problem with the 1911.
That was a
Yeah.
character.
So it's 71.8 feet from the edge of the buffer zone to the edge of the parking area. Right, I mean, this is my only concern, right here.
Is that in addition, is it existing in gravel now?
it's an existing gravel drive. The extent is so there's a
Because there is
dashed
a
line.
parking space right there now.
Right, so the dashed
It's
line.
not very big, so yeah, if you follow that dashed line, that's about where the gravel extent of the driveway is.
Oh, so this dashed line, right here, like that? Yeah, it looks like it.
Here, let me
So-
come point out, because I know our contours look pretty similar to those.
Right, so it looks like it goes here,
Yes, so,
and then
yeah, that's
here.
exactly it.
Yeah.
So, roughly close to the same size there, actually, so.
So is this all that's being added? Is this the?
That
And
portion.
it's being paved.
And being
It's-
paved, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
being paved.
So
and then-
that's, again, that's, is there any barrier, any curbing, anything that's being,
No, there's no barrier curbing proposed for that.
I think I would probably ask for some sort of curbing, at least to keep runoff. If it's not gonna be pervious, then I don't want the potentially oily whatever running off in the buffer zone.
Right, okay.
I think that's called Coolidge Brook, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Used to be quite a trout stream. But the development up in Norfolk, God, they developed the whole thing.
right, but it might still be, because it's still a woodland stream, it's still all wooded,
Gravelly bottom, it's a nice stream.
yeah.
If we add a curb, where would the water be going? What was your intent?
That way.
Or I wonder if like a rain garden or something to trap the
Right,
water,
or,
infiltrate
right,
it.
some, yes,
Yeah, I'd spring for having something directing the water somewhere, because it's the way everything is pitched toward the wetland in that area. It'd be difficult to try to direct it in another direction there.
and it's pitched towards the wetland because that's the existing condition?
Yes, yeah.
Can I take a look?
Can we not pave it?
Yeah, why do you need to
I mean, that would be my solution, is to just not pave that part.
Right. I can speak with the applicant and see if they consider it.
Right. There's,
So are you eliminating this lower leg of the driveway entirely?
Where?
Because it looks like the driveway goes in from two angles.
No,
There-
because the driveway, it's a common driveway. It serves.
There
Oh, so
used
that's
to,
the other
there
building.
used to be another house on the property.
point,
I'm
that's
assuming
right.
the other house
That
has
house
now
is
been
removed.
removed.
The house has been removed.
Yeah.
I gotcha. All right.
They could put the parking lot at some other place, and with that other house removed, I know that
Why don't you
area
just
like the
put
back
the
of my
parking
hand.
over here where the, like on the lot where the old house was, then you're outside the buffer entirely. Like if you just,
So you're saying
So just
get
put
it by the
put it right
existing
there.
house?
I mean,
Yeah, no,
it's probably already graded, you're out of the buffer zone.
Yeah, it's pretty
you could,
flat
you
over
could
there.
even probably then direct the runoff that way as well, cause you're starting to, is that pitching up or down?
I believe it's
Going this way.
down.
Yeah, so you could pitch it that way and you're
Right.
free and clear. I mean,
We just don't want any pavement in that
Yeah,
100-foot
not
buffer,
a-
simple as that.
Okay.
And if it is to be paved, there needs to be something that will prevent the runoff from the paved area going into the wetlands.
Directly. Okay.
So, however, that is our issue with the plan. However, the applicant would like to solve that.
I mean, there's a few
That's-
pine trees they might have to take
Right,
down
I
to
mean,
do that,
there are several options,
But, I mean, they're 20-foot tall pines.
right?
Those
They could also just not pave it.
are, right. They
So,
could leave it where it is and not pave it.
Maddie, do you see anything else?
Right, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Did you wanna look at it again? You good?
I think I'm good. Do you wanna see it, Robin?
No, I kinda got the gist
Yeah.
of what you were saying from
Yep.
when Nathan had it.
So, do you want to go back to the applicant and let them know what we've said?
Yeah,
And
I
see
can.
what,
I can definitely let them know what your guys' thoughts were and have them consider some other options here.
okay. I think that's probably the best plan. So, was this an official hearing?
Yes,
Okay.
yep, so you'd
So-
have to vote
right.
to continue.
So, so you're okay continuing till our next meeting?
Yes. When will that be?
19th?
The 19th, yeah.
19th, yep.
I'm like, what month
Yep.
is this? Yeah. Caught me off guard with
2
that
weeks.
one. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
All right,
We're all set. Thank
awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right, so we don't have to vote, cause he,
Or at least a motion to continue the hearing.
make a motion.
I make a motion to
Second.
continue the hearing.
All
Sorry,
those in
I was-
favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
Aye.
All right. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
Okay. All right. On to Maddie's standard order of conditions. Oh, actually, do you wanna take a break, cause don't you have a bunch of stuff on the printer?
Yep, I can grab the
All right,
printer.
let's take a,
get
yeah,
Yeah.
let's take a few minute break. Roger?
I left it in the truck so I wouldn't forget it.
Jones.
Really hoping to find biodegradable wattle fence, but I can't seem to find it. I have legs.
So where are you staying in Barbados?
We have rented an Airbnb right on the ocean.
That's all you need, that's,
Right,
that
that's,
takes care
that,
of it, right?
literally, that,
I think it's wonderful.
yeah. And we're traveling with friends this time, another couple, so,
Good,
yeah,
sounds great.
yep. Yeah, I can't wait, I can't wait to be warm. I don't do well this time of year. January and February are hard for me. My Sicilian blood just can't.
I understand. Well, I mean, in the travel, when I did nothing but operations, we were in the winters, Caribbean, Hawaii, and the summers in Europe, so, yeah,
Nice.
it was
Yeah.
nice while it lasted.
Yeah,
So we're going to Liverpool.
nice. And what's the weather? England's pretty temperate, right?
It's milder.
Yeah,
It is milder, but it seems to snow more. Snow has increased, and of course, like everywhere in Europe.
Oh, I
they,
Here, I'll take
They
about
predict
that.
the climate in London in 2040 will be the same as Barcelona.
Wow,
They're planting palm trees in the next few years in
Wow.
London, believe it or not, so.
that's crazy.
It's jacked up.
Yeah.
But climate change is a hoax.
Duh.
Says who? Says the only scientists that are still getting paid off by the oil companies who have a massive vested financial interest in the whole issue.
Right?
Oh, thank you.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started
We got a
there.
coffee machine here that isn't making coffee.
Would you like a cup of coffee? Show you
Not
how
at
to,
this time,
show you
because
how to
I-
use the
I
Keurig?
had a cup of
Have
coffee.
another cookie, we're not taking those home, so
There you
that's
go.
good for anything.
No, get those.
I know. Fortunately, I'm not a coconut fan, so they're easy for me to say no to.
I already have some of those at home.
Well, most people, I think the market's pretty saturated. so.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just minding my own business, going to Apex Center with a friend of mine, and there's some kids there with a table.
Damn kids.
I was like, oh, well, now I gotta spend like 60 or 80 bucks on Girl Scout cookies.
Right? I'm sure they'll get me at Lowe's this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the Boy Scouts come out with their freaking, or Scouts of America come out with their like popcorn that isn't even that good, and it's just like, guys, you gotta get it together. Come on.
Right, right?
Well,
Well, what?
Robin, what can I do to like help with the rail trail?
Do you like submitting paperwork?
That's not what I meant.
So, so after the meeting, after I'm sure we're not being recorded, I have some news.
Okay.
But I have not been given permission to share it yet, so,
Oh, okay.
does
it involve money?
no,
Oh.
no. No, it's not that kind of news.
Oh, okay.
It's not good news.
Oh, it's bad.
Well, it's potentially problematic.
Oh, okay.
Good times.
Yeah. Don't you just love government in general? Not even town.
Oh, it's not even
Just-
people? It's not like a
Um,
Butters?
Oh no, yeah.
Oh, I have this already, I think.
No,
No, I
not
don't.
those, not that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not this.
Okay. Are we ready?
Think so.
All right. We're back. Okay.
I think I have.
All right. So the standard order of conditions.
Yep.
I
Does
see-
everyone have, so,
I
for
see-
some reason my printer didn't print out as many of the ones with actually yellow highlighted
Oh. here.
copies, so.
So
I do have a
Walter
couple
and
more
I can
grayed out
share.
ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take one,
You want-
thank you.
Did I give you one? Yep, I gave you
Yeah,
one.
I got
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Does
So
anyone else want a yellow version?
I was gonna say, I have two different, so I have,
Yep, you have a CR and you
So
have
is
a.
okay.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Yellow
Yep. All right.
highlighted
So you
stuff
can
we
have that
added,
one.
what's the-
I got this one.
Yep, so
Right.
essentially,
Just to, yeah, to reiterate.
recap.
Yeah,
So-
I've got my own copy of this that I brought, so.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
I think we're good.
okay. So, anyone else? Yellow? Okay, go.
Yep.
I got one.
Yellow.
Thank you.
It's a little bit easier to read when it's
Thank
yellow.
you, sure.
Alright, so the idea here is to kind of set a standard order of conditions that we assign when we're assigning order of conditions. So these are our own special conditions that we put in addition to what DEP automatically assigns to the order of conditions. So the idea is the ones that are not highlighted are just gonna be standard conditions that pretty much, they essentially apply to every project. Where the orange ones are more special conditions that we will fit in depending on the project.
Okay.
So, let's see if I can find an example.
Right.
So like permanent markers. So something like 63 Marlborough Road, it made sense to put permanent markers in there because they were right up on the wetland buffer. Where say a project where they're, you know, over 50 feet from the wetland, you don't, they're not clearing all the way down to the wetland, like,
Right.
you don't
You
necessarily
don't
need permanent
the
markers.
yeah.
Right.
Yep.
A stormwater management system, if they
Right.
don't have
Yeah,
a
if they're not
detention
installed,
basin,
yep.
Right.
Yep.
they'd be like, you need to make sure there's vegetation, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's a detention basin that doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Did anybody still need a copy? I just realized I have two of them.
Nope. I think we're good. I think you have Louise's. Oh, thank you.
Actually, maybe
Right.
I'll take that one. I'll take
Okay.
a yellow version. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. Like I said, I told you when we talked about this before, I had taken the how to write an effective order of conditions class, and I had a version of this, not nearly this complex.
Yep.
Um,
Yep, so this is essentially stolen from Worcester. This is what Worcester uses, this template, when they're assigning order of conditions.
Yeah.
Essentially, staff goes through and recommends what to put on the order. But
Yeah, so I think it's great. Is there, so one of the ones that I had was, putting up something that, I think I had like orange snow fencing,
Yep.
along the edge of the limit of work.
yep, so I think there's one for demarcation of work. Yeah, so number 34, demarcation of limit of work for areas of work within the 100-foot buffer zone to a wetland resource area prior to construction. The contractor shall stake out the limit of work using an orange snow construction fence to prevent encroachment beyond the approved limit of work and avoid resource area impacts. If the limit of work coincides with the perimeter erosion controls, the fencing shall be placed behind the controls on the down gradient side.
Okay. And so, but this is just for areas in the 100-foot?
Yep.
I'm trying to think if we would, we wouldn't issue an order of conditions,
Yeah, essentially if they're outside, it's
outside
outside of our
of, yeah.
jurisdiction. Yep.
Okay. All right, and I also saw that, so how enforceable is trees to remain? In number 32.
Yeah, so,
Oh, so this is just mark them ahead of time,
right. Yep, so they have to go out there if they,
right?
and we have to sign off on it.
Can I just get some clarification?
Yeah.
What is the highlighted sections? Is this added, what you're proposing to add?
Nope, so they're more conditions that don't apply to all
Job-specific.
projects. Right, so we would have to call it out when we're issuing the order of conditions.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So essentially it's giving titles to certain orders and,
yeah. I guess it probably won't change any views, but I'm just looking at it from this way. Berlin, from the time I've been on the Conservation Commission working up till now, I think we're, except for some ugly multifamily units maybe in some fields, we're 90% developed. I mean, when I look at the town 40 years ago, and incidentally, I'm gonna ask you for an executive session for the next time we're here, because I wanna talk about the maps. I was gonna bring it in tonight, but it's some pretty delicate stuff, and I don't want other people to see what we're looking at. But, you know, when I'm looking at all this, it's almost like the, what do they call it, the horse is out of the barn or something, and we're backing up and going at, now the tree thing, for example. Trees are something that I'm gonna tell you right now, within 10 years, this tree removal business is gonna be a major business. People don't realize it. I grew up in this town, there were no trees. There were no, you see trees like that, there were no trees that fall on wires. Today, up and down every street, people have gotta cut trees around their houses. And they shouldn't have to be coming to us to cut trees. More trees should be cut than are being cut.
But
Because of the danger.
that's not what that says. Just so you know, I'm making sure that you're not conflating the two.
I'm not.
Okay.
Because there are
Carry
houses
on.
around right now and that have been built, unfortunately, before our good bylaws and everything else. If I got trees, well, I don't have trees in wetlands and my house isn't in a wetland, but if it was, I don't want to come to Conservation Commission and cut down trees. It's a safety issue. And we shouldn't be telling people and governing cutting trees down. It's,
But
It's not.
we're not.
About.
you're looking,
No, this says that any trees to be remain before the site is clear cut are marked, and then we go out and we say, okay, you're gonna keep those trees. And then we all agree that the trees that they have marked are gonna stay, and then make sure they're.
have
And they
we ever
knocked down
done
all
this
the other
before?
trees on the
Have
site.
we ever done this
I
before?
tried to at Highland Ridge,
Yeah.
but
So,
they
like,
cut
the
all the trees down.
Right. The issue was that was just talked about in meeting and wasn't actually put into like the order of conditions. So the idea is like when you have those big developments, you want to protect some of the trees, right? You don't want them clear cutting the whole lot, right?
Guess it had to be up there.
Well,
I mean,
It-
I
the
just,
original- the
I'm just
original
coming from the
apple-
point of view, excuse me,
okay, you asked a question,
Madam
I'm
Chairman,
answering.
and it just, I just, enough that's how we got this president, we got people too much worried about red tape and it's the backlash. We don't, enough regulations, and every time you move, you have to do something and follow some regulation. I'm just looking again, with 90% the horses out of the barn, and the laws we have right now and regulations we have right now, and I won't argue it any further, my humble opinion is adequate. I just don't think we need anything extra. Go
Okay.
ahead and add them all that you want.
Awesome, thank you.
You're entirely welcome.
Anybody else?
Being a relative newcomer, I assume there haven't been any major forest fires in this area, or have there been?
Actually, there were.
We had
Average,
we
yeah.
had a pretty big brush fire 2
years
summers ago. But other than that,
Pisgah.
right, up at Mount Pisgah.
It's like
You know,
100,
The deer
150
habitat is
acres,
exquisite
something
up
like
there now.
Right, isn't it? Right.
that. It is very, very abnormal for Massachusetts just because we usually have such wet conditions
Understood.
Yep.
and everything here is second or third growth because it was all pasture
It was
land.
all
No,
clear
understood.
cut, yeah.
No, understood.
Yep.
Well, I guess my, my only, again, observation is, because of fire conditions, and of course with all those trees that are still cut in our area that have not been removed, that's where I wonder,
Right.
is that a big danger? I don't think it's a huge danger, really.
No.
Maybe it's,
And
maybe it's more
any
visual than anything
and
else.
most fires that do happen. So actually, let's finish this because I do want to talk about that because
Okay,
Maddie and
sure.
I attended a meeting and then I missed yesterday's. I was so bummed. A couple weeks ago, we attended, the town is putting together a hazard mitigation plan. And Maddie and I attended, and the fire chief was there, and there was some conversation about fires.
Okay.
And I would be happy to share that, but let's finish this first.
So I hate to bring up the B word, but how does this tie into our bylaw that you're saying,
It does, I know, I was surprised,
As you were talking.
This is just with
okay.
the orders of conditions.
But is there
This-
anything in here that like would support the fact that we don't have a because we don't have the
So
bylaw?
I
Does
was
this kind of
questioning this, actually, I asked the conservation agent in Worcester, and I was like, so when I go to EDP and I say, we do not have a bylaw, it doesn't let me put special conditions in, and so I asked the conservation agent in Worcester, I was like, hey, are we allowed to assign special conditions if we don't have a bylaw? He's like, yes, but you have to stick to what's, within the Wetlands Protection Act, so you can't kinda go outside of that. Where if you have a bylaw, you can kinda cater towards your bylaw, like you can set the buffer zone regulations.
Right, so, but everything that's in here is supported in the,
Right.
Wetlands Protection Act
Yep.
as it
So I-
stands now.
Yep, so I did adjust it a bit because Worcester does have like a 15-foot no disturb zone and a 30-foot no structure buffer zone, so I had to remove that type of wording in because that's within their bylaw, it's not a part of
Got
the
it.
Wetlands
Yeah,
Protection Act.
One other point, and thank you, Maddie, for bringing that up. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day too. I mean, you can go ahead with it as you want, but instead of focusing on this, do we have another bylaw written for this upcoming town meeting to introduce it to town
We
meeting?
do not.
I mean, that's the type of thing that we should be doing with power that would protect open space. And we missed the boat on that, and, you know, it's,
Right, this is not
Second fiddle.
intended to circumvent that, or to,
no, I
you
know it
yeah.
isn't, but I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
if we didn't do that, that's what we should be focusing on, this
But, I mean, this is
halfway-
pretty easy to adopt, right? Like, we don't have to, I mean, the
Correct,
bylaw,
yeah.
we need
The-
town
this-
approval. This
every-
is just
ev-
like a,
Right,
right.
this is basically Maddie saying, do you agree that these are things that are appropriate to add to our orders of conditions?
and so basically, would we just take this document every time and then just decide, like, look at the yellow ones and be like, yeah, we wanna add this, this, and this,
Yep.
and then just delete the ones that we don't wanna add?
So essentially tonight I'm asking you to adopt the not highlighted ones as standard conditions. So
Okay.
you don't have to read them off in meeting. They'll just be set with every project.
Okay, yep.
And then the yellow ones would be ones that we'd have to read off, like, we want permanent markers, we want this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good with this.
Okay.
I think these are reasonable.
Yeah, and I found it helpful to have a standard list
Yeah.
to pick from, so I didn't have to think of everything every
Exactly.
time. It's like, should I, I forgot to include that thing.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm reading through the list, then you remember to include it.
So you said this is from Worcester's Concom, not like a state document?
Yep.
It's a comprehensive document.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good resource.
Yep.
Yep. So,
Amazing what you can do with staff.
Yeah.
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, good point. So, what is it, like, just make a motion? Like,
Yeah, says,
Make a motion to,
set a standard
to
order.
s-
accept these basic standards?
no,
Accept these,
to accept the, list of special orders of conditions.
so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask you to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Well, easy enough.
Yeah.
Is it too late to introduce a bylaw in the town warrant?
Warrant closes in 2 weeks, so yes.
Then I say, okay.
Right.
I will move that we introduce the bylaw that we have in the past and get it on the town warrant and do something that's gonna accomplish protected open space. This does not do it.
Correct.
Although this is good, go ahead.
Yep,
Let's get
this
the
is
bylaw
not the
ready.
intent of that. I would like to focus on a stormwater bylaw first. I think most of the issues that we're going to now face will be more stormwater management related. And I think we would be able to be effective with the stormwater management bylaw. It is also, so Central Mass Regional Planning is working with the planning board to revamp the current bylaws of the town. So they have gone through, they have read all of them. One of the things that happens with bylaw documents, the whole thing all as one, over time, is stuff gets, a sentence gets changed here, something gets added, something, and it starts to become, some things can start to become contradictory. They can no longer be in keeping with state law as state law changes. So they're doing a total revamp. They have also made recommendations about bylaws that they think we should have, one of which is a wetlands bylaw, one of which is a stormwater bylaw.
Were they kind enough to provide like a template or like a
They
basic
have not.
framework or something?
They have not. The stormwater bylaw, the town of Bolton has one, and I would be comfortable using that as a template and see
Okay.
where we could go
What's
from
the
there.
purpose of the bylaw?
is to augment the state stormwater management laws at a local level.
Right, what I mean is, what practically, like, on the ground is the intent, is like to have, like, new buildings have to have sufficient stormwater management
Correct.
built in?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Alright, that's just, I was
yeah,
just trying to.
Yes, yep,
Like
I'm
that
sorry, I was a
parking lot
little,
that we had
like
earlier
the,
today,
like the
was
parking lot,
running off.
you know,
Okay.
and,
Stormwater.
yeah, and larger projects, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what would have been different at Highland Ridge, but I feel like things would have been different at Highland Ridge if we had a stormwater bylaw in place when that started. So stuff like that.
Sure.
You know, because I do believe that we're not going to see a lot more single homes. I feel like we're going to see, if any more building happens, they're going to be larger projects.
Yeah.
And,
Hence the need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you really need it, because you get a lot of impermeable surfaces with paving and with larger buildings and collections.
yeah, and we've got hills and we've got valleys and, you know, just something to help us be more proactive about stormwater management.
Yep, absolutely.
In some areas, turf is considered impermeable.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's surprising.
That actually makes sense. If you have a sufficient pitch, water can't really absorb into it very
Right.
quickly or easily, and so it
runs
just
right down.
sheets right down it. Some of it sinks in, but yeah, that actually makes a certain amount of sense.
So are we trying to get in, when is the deadline for the town warrant?
2 weeks.
Before our next meeting then?
Yeah. So
Because I was gonna say, you know, if I brought the map, laid the map in front of us, and we really looked at it, the white areas that aren't either developed or already protected have the potential to be the owners of them, a couple of them anyway, down slopes towards rivers and everything else, so stormwater runoff control, plus the wetlands bylaw and some of these pieces, and I know the areas very well, then we really should look at it or
right,
get those done as soon as we can.
right.
I think the stormwater bylaw is gonna be an easier sell than
Yep.
the wetlands bylaw, because we can spin it as, I mean, like, we ended up in a situation at Sawyer Hill where we had to put in a bunch of additional stormwater management because of complaints of an abutter, which
Right.
ended up being really, we were just solving a problem they were gonna have anyway, but at the end of the day, we have pretty robust stormwater management there, which
Right.
is, you know, hindsight ends up being a better thing than we thought it was gonna be, given where things are going with climate, but
Sure.
but if you can spin it that way when you're talking to members of the town, like, oh, well, this will also help to prevent, you know,
Right.
water runoff onto your property that could cause issues for you.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, again, with climate change, with heavier storms, I think it's a responsible thing to do.
Yeah,
And I
100%.
do think it doesn't have the baggage that the wetlands bylaw has, but it will certainly help protect wetlands. And I think that we should focus, our next energy should be on a stormwater management bylaw.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
relatively
I agree.
Well,
That's
is that a conservation commission bylaw, or is it, you know,
It may
town?
end up being planning board,
That
but
might
I'm
almost make more
sure
sense.
they would, I know that they would appreciate.
Count upon us for,
Yeah, you know, it might be a collaborative, it might be us with them overseeing, them with us overseeing, you know, that hasn't really,
Yeah.
I think,
that
I
makes
Been
gotta
sorted
wonder
yet, but-
too, just politically within the town, like, how people would accept it better from us or from the planning board. I think they might accept it better from the planning board.
That's
than
what I'm
from
thinking
us.
too, I agree.
So they might wanna put their stamp on it even if we're, you know,
Right.
talking to them and
Yep.
consulting with them about it.
yeah, so, after town meeting, or, you know, after the warrant closes, we can, you know, start to look at that and kick that around.
Do we have any examples from other towns of?
Boylston has a good one.
Boylston or Bolton?
Boylston.
Well, I thought I wrote down Bolton.
You shouldn't. You should write down Boylston. And we can start with that, you know, if they're a similar community.
Yep.
Geographically, topographically.
Yep. That
So,
totally makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so feel free, it's on their website,
Okay.
check it out, and we can start to develop that.
Is it lengthy? Is it pretty
No,
digestible?
I'm trying to, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I don't remember it being super,
I'm just thinking if
long.
it's something that's like easily digestible for people, that may make it easier to also get it approved if people can kind of go read a couple pages and
Sure.
it's, you know,
Yep.
fairly accessible to most people.
right,
That'll help too.
right. And they have their regulations already promulgated. Love that word. So, you know, that was one of the things about the wetlands bylaw is that we didn't have any examples of regulations, you know, so we can look through the regs that they have and decide
Yeah.
how close that is to what we want to do. And then we can have an example of that as well.
Yeah. And that may make it easier for us to kind of stack these bylaws, and maybe instead of having one big wetlands bylaw, we take a couple chunks of different things, and
Right,
it's easier for us to digest, it's easier for people to digest, and
right.
So what kind of timeline would you suggest might be to accomplish that?
I mean, we can start working on it, you know, in the spring, March, April, and, you know, we we need to figure out what we want ours to say. We need it to be reviewed by town council. We need to hold hearings. We need to hold forums to educate people about what it is that we're looking for. But theoretically, we could put it on for the winter town meeting, fall, winter, whenever. I believe, last year anyway, the conversation was that they would like to try to make that a regular thing, to have two in a year. And that also makes it easier when it's not part of the whole big annual town meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, by the time you get to the end of that first day,
Right.
everybody's exhausted.
Exactly.
You know, when did it become a multi-night thing? I feel like it, you know, when I first started going
There's
15
a
years
lot
ago, it was-
going on. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on in the town.
it's been crazy though, these like 3-night town meetings.
Yeah. Yep. So, the fire conversation that Maddie and I had, so one of the I guess the state now has reclassified brush fires as wildfires. And the fire chief said that the kinds of brush fires that we're seeing now, that the state is seeing overall, are the kind that California used to get in the 80s,
Wow.
right? And because the document kept saying wildfires, 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 and so I said to him, I'm like, is that an accurate word for, because when you hear wildfires, you think of the things that you see on the news, right?
Yeah.
From out west, trees exploding and fires creating their own weather, and we don't have those kind of fires
Yet.
So, but you know, with having drier springs, hotter springs, before the trees leaf out, and you know, just drier condition, less regular rain. I guess they're, you know, now calling them wildfires.
Yeah.
But the other thing that he brought up, and this kind of goes with your, well, a little bit, he would like to talk to us about doing some controlled burns on conservation land. Right, and I think that's fabulous. The habitat benefits so greatly. So, be interesting to have that conversation and see if we can do some of that.
When are they looking to do it, like this summer?
It wasn't really any specific timeline, but that it's something that's on his radar.
Okay.
We'd probably have to be pretty severely weather dependent because we would want it to be reasonably wet.
Right. We
Yeah.
would want it to be very controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Not fall,
yeah.
Yeah.
unless it's a really wet fall.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'd be real interested in seeing what controlled burns do, what effect they have on some of the invasive species. I don't think it's gonna
well,
affect, knotweed, but
you could
maybe some of
approximate
the-
that by just looking at Pisgah, at least parts of it.
good, yeah.
How does it look
But I
up
don't
there
know
now?
if it's
Is there-
every-
are there a lot of
So
invasives?
Maddie and I have gone
Fair.
up every spring, and we haven't seen invasives.
Nope.
The
The blueberries
blueberries
love
took off
Really?
like
Yeah.
you would, unbelievable.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
an
Really?
acre
Yeah.
of blueberries.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Like one of the, I met somebody from Sudbury, SVT, and we went out for a hike, like my wife and I and her husband, and she calls it Blueberry Hill now.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a
especially the
big-
south side is ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
just nothing but blueberries, which is funny because it's not the part that actually got burned, but for whatever reason. like-
Are they fruity?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it just
No, we were out there in June, and
unbelievable.
it was just
The
like,
acidic soil from the ash
Yeah.
certainly helps, and then opening up the canopy.
Yeah.
It's weird being on a New England trail and having grass on
Yeah.
it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Super weird.
yeah. Some people from the Northborough Trails Committee actually had to mow some of the trails up on
Yeah.
the hill.
That doesn't surprise me.
It was like, it was weird trying to, like, you couldn't see rocks.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh geez.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's still kind of surreal because they're still like standing blackened trees.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think some controlled burns, especially in areas that are harder to reach,
Yeah.
so that if if there was an event, it just helps reduce the duff.
Yeah.
Right? It helps reduce the stuff on the forest floor,
Yeah.
so that there's less likelihood of an uncontrolled burn.
Yeah.
The
So
You're not
fuel
going to
load.
burn off.
yeah,
all
the
of it.
fuel load, exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to burn off all of it, but you'll get like the top layer of stuff that's likely to be dry
Yeah.
and likely to go up and
Yeah.
be less easy to control.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting meeting that we went to. And then actually, I know it's not really here, but do you want to quickly report on the dam
Yep.
mitigation meeting that you attended yesterday?
Yep, so basically, yesterday's meeting was focused on the dams within town, so of course, the Wheeler Pond Dam is a major one, but they are actively working on that. They are going through the permitting process to remove that dam currently. So the other dams that came up was the Lester Ross Dam, Gates Pond Road.
Gates Pond.
Yeah, Gates Pond Dam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Talked about that. Most of them are in decent condition, so basically it's just monitoring them every year, checking on them, doing general maintenance on them. Wheeler Pond is essentially the only one that's kind of really in disrepair.
Critical,
So
yeah.
They have a price tag on that?
not that I know of.
It would
They
be
must
interesting
have
to
one,
know
but yeah.
what it costs.
Yeah.
Right. They
Yeah.
did get a grant for it, at least to do
They
the
got a
permitting work.
grant for the permitting, yes.
So-
But the poor woman that inherited it, Bonazzoli, is she gonna have to fund build to reach that dam?
So they got grant money to do the design
You're right.
and grant money to do the permitting. So they will almost surely get grant money to help with the removal.
Yeah, a lot of these grant programs, they like when, if you go through the permitting process, they like to give you money to actively Do the
then
work.
do the work,
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise they've wasted the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause
grant money.
she couldn't foot the bill anyway.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's not the kind of
That's not
inheritance
gonna
you want.
No.
Yeah, right?
What a
She
nightmare
did-
for her.
She wanted to give it to the town, but then we would've had,
The liability. Well, the problem. We
yeah,
would have had the, yeah.
but that'll be, when it's dried out, that'll be good wildlife habitat out in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it'll cool the water off. We might see resurgence of cold water fishes.
Yeah.
No,
But
that
no.
pond is in, I can remember boating all over that with a raft out there. It just, when you put a pond in the middle of a stream, it's gonna silt in, and that's all
Yeah,
there is
that's
to
what
it.
Yep, and that's
I
what
mean,
happened.
We used to dive off of the dam and, swim all over that.
Wow.
Pickerel fish.
All right. 61 Lancaster.
No
any-
updates.
Nothing. Powder House Hill Conservation Restriction. Let's do it. I know.
I'll look at her here somewhere.
Okay. So, are you able to kind of the parts that were modified?
Yeah, so I guess our main concern is the prohibited axes and uses and permitted acts and uses. I kind of think where most of our focus was.
Right.
So essentially, we need the language in there to allow wells to be installed if the town needs them at any point, right?
Right. And so that is 3B. 3B. We've got. So it's on page 6. Grantor reserves an exclusive and perpetual right and privilege to construct, install, operate, maintain, repair, and replace groundwater wells, a perpetual right from time to time to construct, I hate the way these things are written. To construct, install, operate, maintain, repair, and replace new groundwater wells, comma, a perpetual right to construct, install, operate, maintain, repair, and replace lines, mains, and conduits required to take water from wells. Okay, so that's that. I guess just going right above that, cause it looks like there's still some
Yeah, some stuff that
empty
needs to get done.
space.
Yep.
So harvesting for personal use, the sustainable cutting of trees only for the grantor's personal use. Right, we need to just delete that,
Right, get rid of
that
that.
whole. Alright. So I guess let's go back to the beginning, just. So prohibited acts, no structures. No landing strips. Good idea. Extra active uses, no mining, dredging. No motor vehicles except for public safety. No subdividing.
So motorized vehicle, do we need something in the language except for what's needed to install town well?
That's interesting. Do we allow vehicles for the installation?
Or maintenance of town wells?
What if, sorry, it's under permitted uses, I think, or under trails. Section 8,
Oh, okay, yep.
motorized vehicles, use of motorized vehicles, A, by the grantor only as necessary for the purpose of property maintenance, for purposes related to forest management activities and or agricultural activities as permitted herein, and to exercise any permissible uses enumerated herein that requires the use of a vehicle,
Okay.
but excluding any motorized recreation devices. So basically, yeah,
Okay,
that should cover us.
okay.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, yeah, it says, right, for the purpose of installing town well maintenance, repair, and,
Right,
yeah,
yep.
everything is there.
It even calls, it calls it out specifically on the
Yep.
section D,
Very end.
whatever it is.
Right, so we can do maintenance of the vegetation, we can remove invasives, we can,
Is composting typical? Like, do we need to qualify that at all?
I think it is typical,
I
as
don't
long
wanna
as,
end up with a Northborough situation.
what?
Well, so, yeah, that's kinda what I'm thinking.
What's
SA
there?
Farms?
Oh, that farm guy. It's not gonna be
Yeah,
effective.
I mean, that's a very
No, no,
different
I-
thing. Yeah, yeah.
To your
Right.
point, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
What?
yeah.
I'm just composting.
Right, so, but this
Dude.
says,
Yeah.
stumps, trees, brush, limbs, and similar biodegradable materials originating on the premises.
Okay.
So it's like,
So
if
on
we
the
go in
premise,
and
yeah.
clear a trail, we
Yeah,
can
okay.
take the debris that as long as it's at least 100 feet away from a wetland, we can leave it there to do its thing.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yep.
It's just material from the site. I don't see it being a
Yep.
problem. And even then, most of the time, if you're just doing like, the only time where I think that would really be an issue would be for the well construction. Because if you're doing trails, like it really just kind of goes
Yeah.
right
Right.
there.
Right. We can improve habitat and ecosystem, we can allow archaeology, we can allow trails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can allow signs, constructing, installing, maintaining, replacing signs of informal kiosks with respect to permitted acts and use, purpose and conservation value.
Do we want any, again, qualification on this of like size of signs, or do we need to specify no digital signs? I mean, is that, I mean, in
I
this
would
di-
love to
in this day and
specify
age,
no
like,
digital
I-
signs.
I
Yes.
feel like you
I
kinda
think
have
there's
to.
in the prohibited, there's something about no
Is that over
billboards
there?
and things like that. Where was that?
Right, billboards is usually, but let's add the word digital signage in that list of prohibited.
But I also think we should specify like a not greater than some square footage or square inches.
So that's in number 1 under prohibited.
Yep.
I mean,
Right, so the current town sign bylaw doesn't allow more than 12 square feet per
Okay.
side,
Okay.
anyway. I
That
mean,
would be-
that's pretty big for a trail, but,
That's reasonable for a kiosk. I was gonna say, do we wanna specify like other signage needs to be, like other than kiosks?
I mean, this is for us. Like,
Right.
this is us making the signs and putting them up for our trails. Like, I don't.
No, I guess I'm just thinking like future, I don't know, like future use of,
right.
Yeah,
I guess if anything, I would support, putting in some sort of prior approval,
yeah.
so that if somebody wants to put up a sign, we just need to look at it and approve it.
Yeah. I don't know, I just feel like I guess maybe the other ones I'm thinking of are on other people's property where we have a CR, but I don't know, I feel like things come up and then it's like, this question like, well, what about this and what about that? And so, I feel like the more
Always.
specific
There's-
you can be,
Right.
it never hurts.
again, that's the motorized vehicles, outdoor passive recreation.
I noticed that he did comma, hunting and trapping, hiking.
And trapping, hiking, yes. Yes,
Trapping hiking or trapping hikers?
yeah.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay.
Forest management is allowed with a forest stewardship plan. Six. Recommended activity. Right, so this actually, so 10B2 allows for controlled burns.
What about 10C?
10C we're gonna take out totally.
Okay, I was just gonna say.
Yep.
That seemed to me like we should remove it.
Yeah, and then it starts getting into the real legalese.
What do you mean by that with,
Well, so like, all right, so 4B1,
oh, like enforcement, okay.
yeah. And I think that's the section that SVT now, has their kind of new language for. So their lawyer will probably strike this and put that in, and then we'll add
Okay.
our part in. And then,
So should I just update that language to kind of reflect what we have in Horseshoe Pond?
sure.
Okay.
Save some lawyers' fees.
Yep.
And then, number 5 on page 9, grants public access and agrees to take no action to prohibit or discourage access to use of the premises by the general public, only for daytime use, as described in paragraph 3B10. I think that's all good. Right. And then I think the rest of this, like I said, is all the lawyer stuff.
And I guess the only other stuff I did edit was on page 1, just a little summary of the project, kind of added that in there. This page 1.
Remind me
Or
again, what's
page 2.
our relationship with SVT on this one? Do they have any joint ownership?
So, because of well, I think it's because of chapter 97, but it may just be standard practice. The town cannot hold the conservation restriction of property that we own
Okay,
by state law.
okay.
So, if there is a CR on town-owned property, we have to give that recognized land conservation. I don't think it says specifically a trust, but SVT is a land trust, and they hold the conservation restrictions for us.
Okay.
I always felt that the reason we give it to SVT is because the town can vote to sell conservation land. But SVT, because of its charter, and if it allowed to sell land that they held a conservation restriction on, they would be in trouble with their charter and everything. So it adds a double layer of control, so that somebody we need to build a new, you see this in towns all over the place, build a school, a police department.
Yeah.
and they look at the conservation land, well, this SVT's charter would virtually prohibit them from allowing them to allow that to happen.
Right.
And that's
Well,
why I support it.
The structure they were asking for a couple of meetings back for a kiosk or something, they wanted to put a memorial up on.
Oh, right, that, yeah,
On Berlin Meadows.
Yeah. That's why I
And
say, I
it's-
don't think it's unreasonable to put restrictions in here, even though, like, it's us. Like, in 10 years, this commission could be totally different
That's right.
people, and they could be like,
Exactly.
oh, I would love a digital sign up there. I would love
right.
to put a
whi-
huge
right,
billboard.
which is also exactly why SVT, so anything that we did like that, SVT would have to approve.
Yeah.
And now, depending on what it actually is, there's also Article 97 that needs to be satisfied as well, which is state approval.
Okay.
So there's more and more layers, but this definitely gives, or whatever land trust we decided to coordinate with. Speaking of SVT, isn't Laura coming in to our next meeting? Or
I
is it
think,
the one after
March.
that,
Yeah.
in March?
Yep.
Okay.
Good, 'cause I'll miss the next one.
So, yeah, so I think just those couple of oh, wait a minute, you still wanted to go over?
No, so.
Page one?
So I think page 2, I just kind of described, let's see, just the public access. So last time it just had like a general broad statement of like what it was, or like an example of, I don't know, CR,
Right, so basically there's all this stuff that says this, this, and this, but then there's also language in here that says that doesn't violate the purpose of this restriction, and that's what this description is. Is, you know, hey, if we missed something, here's the spirit of this document.
Yeah.
Right, so the premises contributes to the protection of the scenic and natural character of Berlin, and the protection of the premises will enhance the open space values of these and nearby lands. Public access to the premises will be allowed for passive, non-motorized outdoor recreation. Preservation of the 7.2 acre premises offers significant ecological and environmental benefits. I would also probably put the word scenic in there. The land serves as a critical buffer to nearby wetlands, helping protect water quality, prevent soil erosion, maintain wildlife habitat. The premises serves as a link in a broader ecological network while offering educational and recreational opportunities for the community. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I think that's great.
Good job, Maddie. Right, so the notes I have is in section 3, prohibited, 3A, prohibited acts and uses. Under number 1, we're gonna add the word digital signage.
No drive-throughs, right?
No drive-throughs. Okay.
Yeah, no drive-throughs. And then we're gonna take out section, so under B, permitted, permitted acts and uses. Section 10, subsection C, which is the harvesting of trees for personal use. We are removing C altogether.
Right.
And then you're gonna insert under 4B1, under enforcement, you're gonna insert the language from the Horseshoe Pond CR.
All right.
All right,
Straightforward.
yep. So, yeah, so make those changes.
Yep.
send this out to everybody, and then we can vote
Yep.
at the next meeting. We can vote to move this along to, I guess, SVT next, or is it town council next?
That's a good question. I guess maybe our town council.
No, I think SVT
Okay,
next.
get their feedback.
Right, and get their feedback, and then, because if there's anything they wanna change that we can do without paying lawyers,
Right.
Yeah.
let's do that
That's smart,
first.
yep.
Yeah, so SVT next, then send it to the lawyers.
Okay.
All right. Anybody have anything else before we move on that? All right. AJ.
What?
40 Caves.
Oh, boy. So, did you send this out today or yesterday?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
So, we had Jim McCook came to do a little hike over at 40 Caves on Wednesday last week and again on Friday. And, found that someone had been ripping through there. He followed, on a four-wheeler. He followed the tracks back, and it appears
Didn't say the address.
that it came from an abutter. And he and I went out then on Sunday, and my GPS said 2.2 miles of walking, just following the stuff through the woods, and that was maybe 1/3 of the total. So the blue is one instance, and the purple is a separate incident on the map here. We'll just pass that around. And so it was an awful lot of off-trail and a lot of damage. So if I may have that back, then, so Jim and I had a lot of conversation. I got home and came up with a list of violations we thought, and then I sent it back to Jim and I said, did I miss anything? He said, I think you covered it. It's closed to any motorized vehicle traffic, period. Endangerment, authorized user of these trails are on foot. The recklessness shown between how badly things were ripped up along the trails and in the woods. They were going pretty fast. Doing donuts doesn't happen at 3 miles an hour. You're going 20, 25, and so on. The tracks led to the Orange Trail, and well, I don't want to give some of this away, I guess. Like I said, I walked 2.2 miles of this. That's out and back, but so the machine went out and back too. The machine crossed 2 streams, each stream twice. At one stream, the machine plowed literally through a small grove of mountain laurel. Now this is a plant that's hard to establish, very slow growing, and it's highly valued just because of the beauty of it. Wow. It damaged it's evergreen, so you can see the plant and identify the plant very easily, and about 50% of this patch was just smashed to the ground.
Wow.
Root damage on many trees, so winding through the off-trail, winding through the forest, and so we examined very carefully some of the mature oaks that this thing had gone, zigzagging around, and where the root flare is, the tires were ripping the bark on the root flare, which is above ground bark. Well, that opens that tree up to spores from oak wilt fungus, and in 2 or 3 years, if it gets infected, trees don't last more than a couple of years. It's about 2 years, isn't it?
Mhm.
And we see a lot of oaks dying, and people say, well, that's gypsy moth, but I think sometimes it's oak wilt. I know we have oak wilt in this area. Anyway, countless small plants, clusters of eastern white pines that are just saplings, native blueberry plants, and so on. just ground down. Forty Caves is highly regarded for the pink lady slippers. In June, if you go out there, you're gonna see them. They're everywhere. When they're dormant, you can't tell if you're running over them or not. You can't identify them, but you can sure destroy them with this kind of activity. They're very delicate plants. I think it's 7 to 8 years before they get their first blossom. That plant is, wow. and it's magical out there if you go out during that bloom. And of course there are other small plants, same thing.
So give those to Robin.
The noise
I don't know.
impacts
Yeah.
users
Yeah.
and wildlife alike. And it's an eyesore. You know, it just detracts. Now, even when the snow, you know, of course it's obvious in the snow, but even after the snow melt, the forest floor is just ripped apart. Miles of it.
And like at the stream crossings, there's ruts
Yeah.
now on the far side of the stream.
So now he got erosion and silt runoff.
Right.
So what kind of recourse do we have?
Well, that's a very good question. So AJ wrote a letter. I then proofread it and
Yeah. Made some changes.
made some changes, some tone changes.
Calm it down a little bit. So I passed this on to look. So we addressed it to the chief of police, which is of course, we don't have any authority to enforce anything. And then I copied the select board, the town administrator, and DEP. And we have not received back the return receipt from DEP yet, have we?
No.
Here's my thing for mailing that. And I checked back with the police department yesterday and asked if I could visit with Chief Shartner. It was too early in the morning, it wasn't in yet. And also the first police, I did interview with Officer Jacob Brescia. Anyway, I can't remember my name, so I'm sure not gonna remember his exactly. And he spent a lot of time with me. He even said, well, tomorrow's my day off, maybe I can, you know, work it out to come meet you up there and take a look, but he didn't call. He had my number, but, you know, it's his day off too. You
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the first time
No,
that we've had a problem there, right?
from multiple entry points. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not always.
Right, but
from that-
specifically from that entry
Yeah,
point.
Particular
Yeah.
entry point.
Yeah.
For a number of years, I had the Division of Marine Rec Vehicle in my agency and turned it over to Division of Law Enforcement. So rather than handling this, I mean, I'm just thinking something serious ought to be done because we've been through this before. So why don't you let me call the director and see if we can get state law enforcement out here. I'll tell them we just can't get ahead of it.
I think I
Well, I'll
sent
see
you a
Eric
copy
in the
yesterday.
morning. In Friday mornings, Eric and I have coffee. I could talk to him about it and see what he thinks, but we could get the state division in there to go knock on a door with the state badge on and everything else, just straighten that mess out once and for all. And if it means, and from then on, we just confiscate the vehicles, the state would do that. They have in the past, instead of
Jim
messing
McCook
around.
suggested that reparations probably range around $5,000, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit more. And
Yeah.
you know, one thing we really maintain these things as a few of us here know, with volunteers. You know.
Right.
Yeah, Walter's out there all the time clearing trees and so on. Yeah.
And Ethan and. Yep.
Yeah, but this is gonna take some materials, some tools, and some time to
Right, and
restore it.
you know, my point is, yes, we as the Conservation Commission are concerned about the conservation value, but it's also vandalism of town property.
Yeah.
It is town property.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's town-owned property. I'm sure there are many people who are like, oh, who cares about the mountain laurels? Well, we actually do, but the town voted to conserve this property. The town's people decided there was value in in preserving what is there. And we have been tasked with maintaining what is there. And we cannot maintain and we cannot support the wishes of the town by keeping this property in good condition when we cannot get support when it's vandalized.
Yeah.
You know, we're called the fun killers and everything, but I'm sure the person who did that had fun doing it, but they have ruined the value of that property for so many other people. That is not their property to destroy. And,
Well put.
and that is what burns my britches about this.
I think I termed it malicious vandalism here somewhere. That's essentially, I mean, what else would you call it?
Yeah. You wanna tear dirt up, you got a yard, keep it in your yard, tear your own yard up.
Go to Hodges
Don't-
Dam.
Don't,
They
yeah,
allow motorbikes there, they allow ATVs there.
Where's
Yep.
that?
Hodges Dam,
Where's that?
it's just south of Worcester. It's like a 40-minute drive. You could have a trailer, you know, or a pickup to put it in, but
Yeah.
don't do it here.
Is there any idea of who did this?
yes,
Yeah,
if you follow the tracks.
You follow tracks.
Yeah.
You wanna go out there, I'll take you for a walk?
I'd love to go.
Let's go. All right.
So anyway, hopefully we'll get some sort of, you know, I don't know, I mean, if somebody was vandalizing this building, something would happen. There would be action that was taken. I don't understand why this is different.
So where do we go from here? You wanna talk to the chief tomorrow, AJ? Or
Yeah, if you think you'll be there. Friday?
we be there Friday? I mean, at this point, why don't you
It'd
just
be Friday.
go to his office tomorrow?
I went there yesterday.
Oh, okay, excuse me.
Nobody called back and
Okay,
or reached out to, I asked for an appointment specifically,
okay.
so.
Well, that's good.
But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
I just,
So hopefully you'll get an appointment
yeah,
and
yeah,
we
it
can,
could be coming, yeah.
Yep.
So,
okay, trail maintenance.
We had a cold work morning.
Like one of the coldest days we've had in a while, right?
No,
Wasn't it one of the like 13-degree days or
No, it was like 20.
so? Sorry, balmy.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah, so Walter and
Lexi.
Lexi, I'm like L
Yep.
ends in Y, not Lindsay. Anyway, yes, Walter and Lexi came out and gave me a hand. Started clearing the reroute for that northwest section of the Brewer Brook Trail that basically turns into a mud bog whenever we have any significant rain.
Or even insignificant rain.
Spring.
Yeah.
Spring, pretty much all of
Spring,
spring.
summer,
It's really
fall.
ugly dry
Yeah.
spring, yeah. So and we pushed it up high enough on the hill that it should be pretty good. Got it. Walter brought a chainsaw, and between me and my little electric chainsaw and him and his gas powered chainsaw, we managed to make some pretty good headway on clearing trees that needed the down trees. There was a lot of down trees
Yeah.
over there, but it went pretty quick. So we're probably about halfway done with brush and down tree removal. Now we're taking a break until it warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
The weather improves, but then we'll have to do a little bit of bench cutting, more removal, and then that'll be it. It's pretty straightforward.
Cool.
So, and hopefully that'll nip that mud problem in the bud, and then I can work on the other side,
Right.
and then head over to Pisgah and
I assume he's coming back.
left his pencil in his little folder.
Yes,
so.
he did.
We still have our quorum, right?
Yeah, and we made some progress. I mean, you know this, but with CPAC getting funding for the parking at Horseshoe Pond, the new conservation restriction there. We got funding from CPAC, at least approved by the CPAC, but now we need to go through town meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So, but
Yep.
a step. Has
Yeah,
been
so
made.
the Community Preservation Act Committee voted to recommend our application for funds at
Oh,
town
good.
meeting.
Yeah.
Last night.
How much you looking for?
Well.
That's a good question,
the-
because
the-
every time I turn around, it's like, oh, no, we can't use that budget because something came up.
Right.
But,
So
Um,
our original plan was to use the highway department.
Yeah.
And we have since found out that CPA funds cannot be used to pay municipal employees. So.
And the wording on it's a little dicey, so like there might be a workaround, but we'd rather just
Yeah.
avoid any controversy altogether and.
Yep.
This isn't
Go
gonna
with
be
an outside
paid or
contractor.
anything extravagant, right? It's
Correct.
just
No, it's just millings.
I mean, I think I can get it done for nothing. What is, I
Well,
don't wanna
so-
run into what I've been running into lately. I mean, I used to just go and do these things. I talked to a
talked to Skip
contractor, I
Sawyer.
think I could get it
I talked
done.
to Skip Sawyer, he's not interested in doing it.
I
talked
think
to-
I could get it done for nothing. And so my question is, so I get somebody, contractor A, to say, yeah, I'll go in there and do it. I'll go in and clear the land, leave that nice oak there. Do you have a plan for the size? But we don't want too big a one.
So we're
How many-
removing,
how many cars?
we're removing the existing asphalt, which is a process that's gonna require a lot of heavy machinery. And then we have to do the subgrade and compacted crushed stone and then millings. We're not paving it, but we're using millings, which will last a lot longer than gravel and be plowable.
Yep.
Then we're setting 21 or 22 posts 4 feet deep, or at least 3 foot deep for a fence to go around it. And then we're doing a crushed stone
What is
path
the
that's gonna
fence
be
for?
compacted. To go
See,
around the
It-
parking
it's a
area so
fence-
people don't try to park on the field.
Right, it's a fence similar to
We
what
got guys
we,
driving
what we did.
ATVs through conservation land, Walter. It's not unreasonable to put a
I
fence
mean,
around it.
I understand that. I mean, I don't, see, what I'm concerned about is inviting, I don't want Berlin's open space to become the regional recreation area. You put in a parking spot and you don't need the extravagance.
We're not doing any extravagance,
It's
Walter.
truly not extravagant.
It's
The
gonna
fence
be-
is gonna be similar to what we did up at, the top of Linden Street, just just some boards on posts.
Okay, that's,
Um,
you spend some money on it, you could get it done, have several parking spots, gravel in there.
Well,
no
that's why we
problem,
have CPA.
and it
We
wouldn't
have
cost
the money.
anything.
We have,
Well,
the-
might as
we-
well spend it.
it's not,
No
we might
longer
as
get
well
volunteers
spend
to
it.
do something.
It's that we can spend it
We should be
and,
spending it on open space.
so,
I guess I'm just coming from the point that the Bullet House would have been done for nothing. The Hearst House would have been done for nothing. We would have had a lot of stuff done for nothing. This,
unfortunately, that
people-
is not, the world doesn't work that way
well,
anymore.
it does because the people that are doing it don't know how to approach the contractors to do it. I could get someone to do that for nothing.
It's a lot bigger than that. It's not.
Well, if you
it's-
make it bigger, it is, but it
well,
doesn't have to be.
The world has found Berlin,
This,
and-
this room would be adequate parking for what we want there.
And
You
this
get
is
parking
about
and,
the-
and this
Well,
is,
this is
and
about
this
the
is
size of it,
about the
Walter.
size that we're talking.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
I talked
Right.
to a contractor
So
the other
anyway,
day that said he would do it.
so we got a bid for the labor from the highway department. Ethan has now talked to Paul Wheeler.
Yep.
And he is we're gonna, do a site walk so that he's comfortable with the work that is being asked for, so that he can give us a quote.
Yep.
So we don't know.
Well, I walked with him already. We met over there.
Oh, right,
We took a
and-
quick look at it, but
That's right, you wanted-
I want to get the plan more concrete so we can actually do a drawing, so he knows what the scope of work is, and
Right,
we
yep.
can get a quote from him.
Um,
But if the numbers are gonna be high enough that I think I'm gonna have to go to 3 So
Right.
I have to find 2 more contractors, and then see what the numbers come back at, and then we'll go from there.
Walter's got a guy.
Uh-huh.
No,
Uh-huh.
either do it or not gonna do it.
Okay.
Go ahead and do it.
And, yeah, so we gave a rough budget. And then because of the uncertainty with the tariffs, with lumber, with the world, CPA added money onto that. So,
Because we can always give money back, but
Yeah.
if we come up short, then we're short.
Right.
So,
right,
Okay.
so the goal is to spend less, but it's there if we need it.
All right, great.
All right. Forest stewardship plan.
Gary, get back to us.
Gary
Wow.
got back to us.
Yeah.
I couldn't even.
Saw that.
He gave us a work order.
Is my recollection off, did we get something from him a year ago and sign it and get it back to him? Am I hallucinating? It might be
That
like
was
this.
for the plan.
Yeah.
Huh?
That was for the plan.
Yeah.
For the plan.
Yeah.
I thought, because I had called him. Okay. But anyway, we got it, so he's,
Yep.
we'll get it signed. Just sign it and get it back to him, but he called me, and the thing is, the big problem was he's got more work than he needs. Second thing is, he's looking for a good contractor. The thing is today, just in the past 30 years, it's gone from small individual loggers with little equipment, they go in, do a nice job. Now everything's big deal, heavy equipment, and it's hard to find a small operator with a little John Deere skidder go in and do things without messing the woods up. So that was one of the reasons he was holding off, but he thinks he knows of a couple people. And so we get this back to him, he'll work on it, and I think we should just go ahead with it, but it's a question of not doing it until we get a good contractor that's got a good reputation to get in there, not just get somebody in there to
Yeah.
do it.
Do you know how it works? Like, so he said, I lost it. So he anticipates that the harvest could generate around $15,000 to $20,000. So, but then there's also the expenses of like the mileage, the paint, and stuff like that. Do we have to like prepay anything, or is it they get paid out of what they harvest? Do you know how that works?
No, I think they get paid out of their harvest.
Okay, so it's not
Again,
like we have to.
yeah, I don't see the profit being the motive, it's just cleaning and
Right.
getting the woods to be good quality.
Yep.
Good quality habitat and stuff, cause there's not much good timber in that area.
Yep.
It's not good at all.
So I'm just wondering if does it cost us money to have somebody come in up front?
No,
Okay.
So it just occurred to me, we should probably just run this by the select board
Mhm.
if we're gonna sign a contract with
Right.
somebody. If we wanna make an appointment for you and I to meet with Kristen
Yep.
to go over what we're up to.
Yep. Yep, that's fair.
Just to, I can't imagine anyone will have a problem with it, but
Right.
we just wanna not get in trouble.
Yep.
All right, awesome. The internship program, our 2 people are not here today, so I think we can skip over that. Bluebird Trail is kind of part of that, so we can skip over that for
well,
tonight.
I'd like to just
Sorry, Ben.
stop there. I know AJ's working on some, I've talked about it a little bit. Here's my idea of it, and we gotta get together and talk about it, AJ, but, with this, particularly, I looking at that mapping thing you did, the way you walked, I wanna know about that, by the way. I wish I had every place I've walked in Berlin over the past winter, it looked like a cobweb, but, we should map, the idea is to use this, not just to get the bluebirds up, but have people monitor them so we could have them mapped and have kids monitoring each one. When are the bluebirds in there, and have an ongoing website explaining, I've never seen that done. I don't know if Audubon has done that or anything like that, but the notion is to outreach and pull kids in and families in to be monitoring these things instead of just throwing up 40 bluebird houses around, but, which is nothing to do, but to get the kids to think about it. You have, we got 3 bluebirds in my house, and, we got 3 babies, because they can look in it every week, it doesn't bother them if they do it correctly. And so, that's what I think we should do, is put together a real sophisticated program, but, so let's sit down and write that up and, get it written up.
I've been thinking about the mapping software that we could use to just, put up all the addresses or the GPS coordinates.
Right.
And then, and then just, because the GPS coordinates come up in metadata when you take a photograph, right?
Yep.
So you just take a picture of it and there's the,
And
there's
then just swipe.
Yeah.
Yep.
copy paste and.
Right.
Right.
But you could almost
could
have a
also-
website and make it on the Conservation Commission website, so
Yeah,
people go
yeah.
on it and
Yeah,
keep
and then publish
monitoring
it.
it, and it gets us up front there and gets a lot of, public awareness of what we're doing.
You can save locations in Google Maps and Trailforks and any number of other mapping software.
I like Trailforks.
Okay, awesome. Oh, I can say that, so you were communicating with one of the teachers about building some bluebird boxes with one of the classes.
I wonder if my messages to her are going to spam or something, because a couple of times I've sent something over and I think she came back to Maddie and asked the same question, and Maddie answered and copied me, and but I one of the things I reached out to her is, here I've got a book that gives you all kinds of plans to choose from, and it's like 4 pages of bluebird info, written, just narrative.
Yep.
But I'll have to ring her up, I guess. I asked her if I could stop by in one of the messages, and I never heard back, and I don't know, it just didn't get through.
Yeah, like I see your messages.
Lindsay?
Right,
Is
I
that
see them too,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I know Walter said this before about the mapping, and it's just time to. I know a couple of
Just
bluebird houses
time.
I haven't gotten out to clean out yet too.
Yep.
So, but I did do a few, and I know Walter's done quite a few. Mice out of them.
All right. So Earth Day is coming up. Louise asked me to pass on the message that she will help, but she is not interested in being the person in charge this year. So I don't know if someone wants to be in charge.
Well, I have to take that, but we have to pick a date,
Yes.
because I know.
Didn't we have some issues with?
Yeah.
Conflicts, 'cause you got Easter and then. something
Yeah,
else going on.
the weekend before the is Passover, and the weekend after is Easter. And, somewhere in there, I'm going to North Carolina for a bird watching trip.
Right. I mean, there have been years when we've done it kind of, a couple of weeks after actual Earth Day. I feel like it means more when it's on. So what is Earth Day is what day this?
22nd.
22nd.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. So it'd be the 19th or the 26th.
And then,
Actually,
didn't
I'll
we
be
have April vacation in there too, right? School
Right.
vacation
Right.
is that week. So we could even do it May 3rd. Oh, when's town meeting? Town meeting's the 5th. Well, that shouldn't conflict.
May or,
Town meeting is May 5th,
okay,
so we could do it May 3rd.
right, and that's when I'm gone.
Oh, and that's when you're gone. Never mind. We can't.
I was just looking, the flight out is on the 24th. So the 26th is Saturday. And,
And
yeah, I was
so,
kind of wondering,
and you come back,
May 5th, which is Monday. Oh,
Alright.
and that's town meeting?
yeah.
I think I missed the fall one because I was in Texas.
All right, well, we should,
Jeez.
for the agenda next meeting, Earth Day, pick a date.
Mhm. Yep.
So hopefully Louise will be here and Lexi will be here, and I know you won't be here, but I think that's it.
My favorite nephew is getting married on May 3rd in Indiana, so I won't be here. Not that that has to impact
Okay.
the decision, but just FYI.
What if it was your least favorite nephew?
Yeah.
I didn't. I went to his when he was still in the running, but that's more than you needed.
It's like there's some stories there.
Yeah.
Boy, family.
All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Jeez.
Good meeting, guys. We
Well,
got
I
a lot.
must report,
Yes, sir.
I believe I saw a snowy owl.
I saw that.
I saw something
I
on
don't care
that.
what you say. It
I,
was,
I don't believe. I
it
don't
was,
disbelieve you.
Yeah.
I know
it was
some.
at least 100 yards away, and it flushed out of a very large pine and down across the field. It couldn't have been anything else. It
So that
wasn't
was
a
you that
heron.
reported
It
that?
wasn't a
Yeah.
long-billed thing.
I
It
didn't realize
wasn't
it. Huh.
feet on it. It was pure white, and it was
Well,
big, and
it
it was
reported it to the
owls.
state?
And it
No, I
Was
saw it on
on Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
The,
feel like
so
it was on the
so
news.
I know somebody who watches, like, there are websites that track them.
Okay.
And like he'll go and he takes the most amazing photographs. But they're definitely around.
Yep.
They're definitely in the state. There's no reason
Well,
why it
they're
couldn't have
down at
been
the
one.
airport. They have problems with them there, and they're down along the Cape.
They were
And then-
up on Newburyport and
Yeah.
the New Hampshire
Yeah,
coast.
along the coast, but
Yep.
they, you know, if it was in here, I assume it was going through, but so, I don't know if anybody will see it. I probably should have gone down into the woods and spooked it again, but, I couldn't, I don't think it could
We
have
had
been
to teach
anything
you
else.
how to use the camera on your phone.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though.
But
That's
yeah,
so,
they like open fields. They like tundra-like habitat. So like
Yeah.
airports,
Yeah,
coastline, but open field is
Yep.
definitely
Yep.
Yeah.
where they like.
Yeah.
Sit. So definitely look for any weird snow spots that might be an owl.
Right?
It's a good year for them. So.
So Maddie, when do you start? When was the?
That's a good question. We might try to do spring owls in March. Yeah. Yep. That's not
I
as
don't know
reliable
why
as the fall,
that's
but
not working.
you never know. We can try and see what happens.
Yeah, of course, like, it's always the first thing on Facebook that he posts all
Right.
the time, and of course, now it's not,
Yep.
right? And yeah, never mind. Anyway, but yeah, that's fabulous.
anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
so if you see big white bird, tell me, cause I wanna
Yeah.
know, I always see it.
Can I make a motion on the meeting at 9:12 p.m.?
Second.
Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, we
All right.
didn't vote on this.